What's up, everybody? This your boy AB, and you are now listening to the Unpopular Opinion Sports Podcast. You know, your boy AB is here, rocking it with y'all, and I'm gonna give y'all a quick breakdown of some of the games from the NFL this past week. We're gonna cover the Eagles and the Cowboys, the Giants and the Vikings, and the Packers and the Dolphins game this week. Um, Also, just wanted to quickly point out that Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach for the Denver Broncos, just got fired. It was just reported about 15 minutes ago. Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett is out of there. He got fired after a 4-11 start on the season amid that 51-13, I think it was, blowout by the Rams. Baker Mayfield had a field day on them. And Russell Wilson has not looked like the Russell Wilson that we have come to know for most of his career. So he's out of there. They're going to have a new coach. Quick mention on that, quick just opinion on that, real quick. I did think that Nathaniel Hackett was over his head as a head coach in the NFL. He used to be on the Green Bay coaching staff, and Denver thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to be free this offseason, and he ended up staying with the Packers. So they thought they could lure Aaron Rodgers um, away from the Packers to come to be their starting quarterback for the Broncos. That didn't happen. So they thought as an insurance policy, they would get Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson signed a huge deal. Now they're in contract with him for the next 5 years. And so they're going to have to make something happen. They're going to have to make it work with him because you don't want to take that type of cap hit to basically destroy your team to cut him. And no team's going to want to trade for him right now. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into this first game. So as an Eagles fan, as y'all can see with AJ Brown jersey in the back, as an Eagles fan, man, we didn't get the win this week. I think the score was scored 34-40, something like that. So we didn't get the win, but great performance. I felt like overall by my team. It wasn't horrible. We just had untimely turnovers, man. The turnovers killed us. To start off, Gardner Minshew, he did throw for 24 completions out of 40, 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, an 84.9 passer rating. Devontae Smith had a great game, 8 receptions for 113 and 2 touchdowns. AJ Brown had 6 receptions for 103. He has surpassed 1,300 yards this season on the year. Hassan Reddick had 2 sacks. Sweaty, he had 1.1.5 sacks, and he had an interception touchdown. Avonte Maddox had 1 sack, and he made big plays all over the field. I got to give him a quick shout out because Avonte Maddox, before his injury, I think he left in the second quarter. Before his injury, man, he was all over the place. He had one potential sack on Dak. That Dak made an amazing play, spinning out of the sack, throwing it to Gallup, I think, for 13 yards or so to get a first down. That was on the third down play. That would have been a huge turnover on downs for us to get them to punt. That didn't happen, but later in the game, Avonte Maddox did get a sack on like some trick play that Dallas tried to do, and Avonte did end up getting a sack there, and that was the play that he actually injured himself. Miles Sanders ran for 21 times for 65 yards, 3.1 to carry. Obviously, we would like to see more, up to the 4 or 5 per carry range. So we didn't get much out of our running game, which Jalen Hurts. That's where we miss Jalen Hurts. He gives us that option when you're doing that run pass option, or just a fake handoff, and he could take off running himself. That's where we miss. Gardner Minshew did try to run a few times. Gardner Minshew to me looks like he's running and like he's trying hard to run fast, but he's not really running fast. He just gives out that impression. Obviously, I'm not on the field. I don't know, but he just looks like he's trying so hard to run fast and he's not going anywhere. Um, the Cowboys, man, their stats was Dak. I mean, he played a great game outside of that pick six that he had early on to, get us up to 10-0. He played phenomenal, man. He was perfect the first half outside of that interception. I think he was 13-14 at half, but he was 27-35 overall in the game, 347 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, that 1 interception I talked about earlier, 124.3 passer rating. That is a great passer rating on a scale of 153. Zeke had 16 for 55 and a touchdown. CD, he had a field day. One drive in particular, I think he had like 5 receptions on one drive. Probably had like 50 yards on that drive himself. I don't understand the concept of. I know we play a lot of zone. Jonathan Gannon, our defensive coordinator for the Eagles, he plays a lot of zone coverage, but you can't in a situation where you have our maybe 4th corner on the depth chart, Josiah Scott, he's guarding CeeDee Lamb one-on-one in certain situations. We did make adjustments at the halftime where we might have had Josiah covering him, but we had like help inside where, he couldn't get beat inside. If he did get beat inside, there was going to be a linebacker there or safety there. That drive in particular that I'm talking about, I think in the second quarter, CD was going off. And then he scored on that same drive as well. T.Y. Hilton, man, what a great signing for the Cowboys. Slay, I'm asking Slay to step it up, man. Darius Slay, he's been iffy these last, I would say, 4 or 5 weeks, man. Just giving up big plays where we need him the most, not showing up as that Pro Bowl corner. You want to be talked about as one of the best corners in the league. You got to make a play. Definitely on a pass interference call. I think that was on a 4th down, where the Cowboys went for it, and he caught him where he thought he was going inside. Hilton broke back outside and ran right into him. A savvy vet play, got a PI call on a 4th down that kept the drive alive. They ended up scoring on that drive, I believe. And then on a 3rd and 30, man, 3rd and 30, you cannot get caught napping, watching the quarterback on a 3rd and 30. I don't understand why you would be, T.Y. Hilton is known for his speed, even though he hasn't been consistently in the league. They picked him up off of waivers. He was on his couch, a few weeks ago. He still has speed. Like, you can't even, and I think they were playing cover 2 man. So maybe Slay thought, oh, I'm good because I got a safety over the top. I think they went 4 verts. So the safety still has to make sure that, the inside release guy isn't getting beat as well. So, Slay, you think if Slay can cover his man, Slay gets caught snapping. He doesn't, track the running speed of T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton gets behind him, and Dak with a perfect throw on a 3rd and 30, hits him in stride. And that was a backbreaker. That was a backbreaker play because I think we were up 7 at that time. If we score there after the turnover on downs, then we're in great position. We probably was going to get good field position as well. So that was a backbreaker. But CD had 10 receptions for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pollard had 80 yards on 15 touches, and T.Y. had that 1 catch for 52 yards on the 3rd and 30. So, and we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, fumbles, 1 fumble on just a bad handoff attempt to, I think that was one of our backup running backs. That wasn't on Miles Sanders, but Miles Sanders did fumble late in the game. That really basically, that was it at that point. And then Gardner Minshew had 2 picks. The 1 pick he threw both were great plays. I felt like by their secondary players. One in particular, that Quez Watkins, where the guy just basically just took the ball from him. And I don't think it was the most accurate throw. The throw could have been a little better, but because Quez had to kind of reach back to go get it. But yeah, Cowboys play well, man. I got to give it to them. They play well. But we will be back. We will be back. I hope we see them in the playoffs because we're going to see what happens when we have full strength, and Lane Johnson also got hurt as well. He probably going to be out into the playoffs come. I think we'll be fine until he gets back. But that's a big loss for us too. Remember, Courtney Gardner-Johnson, who is still leading the league in interceptions. He still hasn't been playing for us. Hopefully he'll be back around playoff time as well. so we could shore up that secondary. Blankenship hasn't really. He's been playing in recent weeks because Courtney Gardner-Johnson's been out. But once he gets back in, Blankenship probably will play sporadically here and there, but he won't be like a full-time starter. We can't wait to get CGJ back. Avonte Maddox, I said again, he got hurt. I hope he'll be back by playoff time, and of course Jalen Hurts. So let's go into the next game. The Giants and the Vikings. The Giants and the Vikings, man. Vikings have been really showing a lot of fortitude, a lot of resilience in their past, basically all season. Winning a lot of close games. Last week, a miracle happened. It's not too often that you see a team 33 points down and they come back and win the game. But they did, they did against the Bills, which was, I think, one of the best games of the year. By far, certainly was one of the best games of the year. Excuse me. They came back on the Bills, won that game at Buffalo. We know Buffalo is a title contender this year and looks, has title aspirations. So the Vikings, yeah, man, they're a good team this year. And Kirk Cousins, man, I got to show some love to Kirk Cousins. A lot of people don't like to show love to Kirk Cousins because they just see him as this player who can't perform in big games. Kirk Cousins was 34 for 48 this game, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 107.9, I think, but 108 passer rating. Dalvin Cook, 14 for 64 yards. They haven't even had like tremendously big games from Dalvin Cook, and we know that Dalvin Cook can give it to him. I mean, he made that big play against the Colts at the end of the game to get them within striking distance to winning that game against the Colts. Justin Jefferson having an unbelievable season. He passed Randy Moss for the most receiving yards, the team record for the Minnesota Vikings. We know anytime that you're in conversations with Randy Moss that you're doing something incredible. He had 12 receptions for 133 yards and 1 touchdown. TJ Hockenson had 13 receptions for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. That TJ Hockenson trade from the Lions, I think, was very underrated. People didn't really talk about it much, but giving Kirk Cousins another weapon. And I expected games like this from TJ Hockenson, all along with Kirko. I knew that was going to work well. And now Justin Jefferson has, they have Thielen still. People forget about Thielen, but they have weapons all around Kirk Cousins, and he's using them accordingly. And I think, if the defense can step up and play along with the offense, which we know that the offense is their primarily strength for the Vikings, but their defense getting Zadarius Smith, getting some pressure. I think that if they add a few pieces in the secondary, they're going to be great. I like Dantzler. I think the rookie that they have, he's not the best in coverage, but he's going to get better in time. But he plays with a lot of heart, a lot of fire, a lot of strength, just all over the place. He's one of those players that, he's very smart, very heady, has a lot of play recognition. So I think as he gets more reps and as he plays more, he can be a really good player for them. Patrick Peterson, his savvy play and just he's getting up there in age, but we know what he brings to the table. But it was a good game. The Vikings did pull that out. Daniel Jones was 30 for 42 that game, 334 passing yards, which I thought was really impressive. We don't see a lot of that out of Daniel Jones. I think he's getting a lot of good rapport with receivers like Richie James, who I've been seeing has been breaking out recently. He had eight receptions for 90 yards. Barkley had 133 total yards on 22 touches. He had a touchdown as well. Daniel Jones had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So the Vikings did pull that game out. I don't know, the Giants. I mean, we're going to see what they do their last few games and whether they can, secure a playoff spot. But they're right on the cusp. So, we're going to see. I say right now, I don't know what their last 2 games are, but I'm going to go ahead and say on record that I gotta see their last 2 games to give a honest opinion on. They got the Colts and then they got the Eagles. I'm going to say they make it. I think they're going to beat the Colts, and I think they're going to beat us at home. Especially if they need that game, because I don't think we're going to play our starters that game. If we do play our starters, I don't think the Giants have a chance, honestly speaking. But I'm gonna say right now that they're gonna make the playoffs, but we'll see. It's gonna be tough. Uh, but having the Colts at home, I think they can win that game for sure. If they have to beat us to win, I'm gonna take us. And even with Gardner Minshew, man, I mean, we saw we can move the ball downfield, so it's gonna be tough for them, regardless them playing us at home. And then we're going to talk about the Packers and the Dolphins. So that game was on Christmas Day at 1 o'clock. I was kind of excited for this game because I wanted to see what Tua had. There has been MVP talks for Tua this year, and people, fighting for him to get that MVP. After this performance, that's dead in the water. It's over. 310 passing yards on the day, which is good. 16 for 25, not terrible. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That can't happen. They had 5 turnovers on the game. Um, that was just it, and it was 3 straight. I think it was 3 straight possessions where Tua threw 3 interceptions, and that can't happen. And a lot of them were just, we know Tua is an anticipation thrower. He doesn't always see a guy open before he throws it. He's kind of projecting like this is where you're supposed to be. So I'm going to throw it there. One play in particular, he got caught. I think Rasul Douglas was sitting in his zone. I think it was a cover 2. He thought he was going to sit down, and he ends up coming off of his guy who did like a slant. And they had the tight end, I think Gesicki, was kind of going on a outside post route, and he just caught him. He just tricked him and picked it off with ease, and that was essentially the game right there. That was the 3rd interception. But Jeff Wilson had 9 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. They couldn't really get much on the ground, which was hurting them. I think Mike McDaniels come from a 49er system with I can't think of his name right now. 49ers coach. It's killing me that I can't think. Shanahan. Coming under the Shanahan system, they come from like a West Coast like zone run type offense, and I was expecting more of that. Them to just kind of keep implementing the run. Tua didn't have a lot of pass attempts. It's not like he threw the ball 40, 50 times. But I guess, with the run not working and them not being able to move the chains on the ground, that was really affecting them a lot. Even though Tua had 310 yards, a lot of that was due to just the receivers, the electric receivers making plays after the catch. Gesicki had a few catches that were, good after the run. Obviously, Waddle had like a slant that went for 84 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 receptions for 143 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill had 4 for 103. He had that deep bomb to Tyreek Hill in the game too. But a lot of it is like run after the catch. So, which is smart. I think they should be doing that. I'm not discounting that or saying that's a bad thing at all, but Tua has to take care of the ball better. That's the main thing, and he didn't do that day. He didn't do that yesterday. Aaron Rodgers was 24 for 38, 238 yards, a touchdown and an interception. A.J. Dillon, 11 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown. They didn't get much on the ground either, even from Aaron Jones. Lazard had 5 receptions for 61 yards too. He was their leading receiver. So Packers did win that game. They still had that playoff hopes alive. And you never could count Aaron Rodgers out, man. You could never count him out, even though he hasn't playing spectacular this year. He isn't playing great. And there's a lot to say about that with him, his, escapades in the offseason of, taking some medicinal and some shrooms. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like to me, in my opinion, I think he's kind of losing focus a bit, and he doesn't have the patience. He's one of those great players where he lacks that patience with his young receivers, and they're coming along. I think they're coming along well late in the season, which is what you expect. And he just got to be there for his guys. Keep being there for your guys, and showing them their support, especially throughout the week. Just being there at practice. There have been reports that he isn't like going over the film with them during practice, and that's the most important time. When they can make the mistakes, that's the time that you need to be with them and making sure that those intricate parts of route running and play calling and audibles, that stuff should be going over. So they got to do that if they want to be successful. And I think they're starting to get that going along. So that's going to wrap it up for me today for right now. I appreciate everybody taking the time to tune in to the show. We're going to keep it coming. I got some NBA content coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. And I appreciate everybody again. Find me on YouTube, find me on Spotify as well at Unpopular Opinion Sports. You could cash app us if you want to support financially at UOSP podcast, UOSpodcast. And any other way you can support, like and subscribe to the channel. And this your boy AB, and we out.